Early morning, June 1st, 2025, Belaya Air Base, Siberia. A cargo truck sits a few kilometers from the perimeter fence. Looks like it's hauling toilet paper or vodka or whatever the hell Russians ship to Siberia. Inside, zero cargo. Just wooden compartments packed with Ukrainian drones and a Ukrainian operator sitting in front of a laptop somewhere in Kiev, about to have the best day of his entire career. He hits enter. The roof panels slide open. Dozens of quadcopter drones rise into the darkness, their cameras locked onto a flight line full of Tu-95 Bear strategic bombers, multi-hundred-million-dollar aircraft capable of carrying nuclear weapons. Within the hour, Ukraine was about to pull off the military equivalent of Ocean's 11, except Danny Ocean is a bunch of Ukrainian tech bros and the casino is Russia's entire nuclear bomber fleet. For 18 months, Ukraine's SBU had been planning Operation Pavotina, or Spiderweb. Russia's strategic bomber fleet numbered around 120 aircraft, roughly 55 Tu-22 M3 backfires, 52 95 Bears, and 15 Tu-160 Blackjacks. These aircraft form the airborne leg of Russia's nuclear triad, and here's the kicker: most are Soviet era. The production lines closed decades ago. Only the Tu-160 is still in production, at a glacial pace. Every bomber destroyed is essentially gone forever. You can't just order a replacement on Amazon Prime. So Ukraine asked a simple question: why launch expensive missiles that Russia can detect when you could hide cheap drones inside trucks and drive them straight to the target? The drones were OSA quadcopters, commercial-grade FPV drones, $600 to $1,000 each packed with 3.2 kilograms of explosives, enough to total a multi-hundred-million-dollar aircraft. The math was beautiful. Spend a few $100,000, destroy $7 billion. Now here's where this gets absolutely wild. Ukraine didn't launch these drones from the border. They drove them through Russia in regular cargo trucks. Some of these trucks traveled over 4,000 kilometers, roughly LA to New York, except you're smuggling military hardware through enemy territory. They passed FSB checkpoints, drove past security cameras. Russian cops probably waved at them. 5 separate teams, 5 air bases, 5 time zones: Diaghilevo near Moscow, Ivanovo-Severny with its bomber fleet, Olenya in the Arctic Circle, Belaya in Siberia near Mongolia, and Ukrainka in the Far East, almost to the Pacific. Each truck used Russian 4G and LTE networks to communicate. Russia's own cell towers helped Ukraine coordinate the destruction of their bomber fleet. It's like using your enemy's Wi-Fi to hack their bank account. Russia spent billions on S-400 air defense, radar networks, fighter patrols. Ukraine just rented some trucks and drove past all of it. The FSB is dealing with a nightmare. They've got moles, deep ones. We still don't know exactly how Ukraine positioned these trucks. Bribes, forged documents, legitimate shipping companies with no idea what they were hauling. Every truck in Russia is now suspect. Every shipment could hide a swarm. The paranoia alone is worth the price of admission. But let's talk about the people who actually made this happen, because this wasn't solely about technology. The unwitting truck drivers, they thought they were hauling prefabricated wooden houses, standard cargo. One driver, a 55-year-old trucker named Mikhail Ryumin, was dozing in his cab when the roof panels opened and drones started launching. He watched, confused, as dozens of quadcopters flew toward a military air base. Within hours, he was in FSB custody facing terrorism charges. 4 other drivers are now sitting in Russian prisons, facing decades behind bars. One driver was killed when his truck exploded near Ukrainka before the drones could launch. Whether that was Ukrainian remote detonation to prevent capture or Russian counterintelligence, we'll never know. These men had zero idea they were part of the largest strategic aviation strike since World War II. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian operators flying these drones? They were sitting in Kyiv, some more than 4,000 kilometers away from their targets. Each drone had its own dedicated pilot. That's 117 operators, coordinating across 5 time zones, maintaining 4G connections through Russian cell towers, all while Russian electronic warfare systems were actively trying to jam their signals. When jamming worked and drones lost connection, the AI took over. The system would continue on its pre-programmed route, identify the target aircraft using visual recognition trained on museum planes, and strike the most vulnerable points: wing fuel tanks, engine intakes, radar domes. No human intervention required. This is what makes Operation Spiderweb different from every other drone strike in history. It wasn't just range, it wasn't just scale, It was the integration of human intelligence operatives on the ground in Russia, unwitting civilians used as delivery vehicles, remote pilots in Ukraine, and artificial intelligence filling the gaps when communications failed. Zelensky later revealed that the Operations Coordination Office was located right next to an FSB headquarters building in Russia. Ukrainian intelligence was literally planning the destruction of Russia's bomber fleet from an office within walking distance of Russia's internal security service. The FSB is still trying to figure out how that happened. How many people were involved? How deep does the network go? How many other operations are currently being planned from similar positions? That's the psychological warfare element that goes beyond the destroyed aircraft. Russia now has to assume Ukrainian intelligence has penetrated deeply into their territory, their communications, their logistics networks. Every truck, every warehouse, every shipping manifest, all of it is now suspect. And that paranoia? That costs money, resources, and operational tempo, things Russia can't afford to waste. At Ivanovo, the target was two A-50U mainstay aircraft, those planes with the giant radar disc on top. Russia only has 7 of these. Losing 2 is like losing both kidneys. Your air defense network is fundamentally compromised. The SBU released footage showing surgical precision. The drones targeted the radar domes specifically, the most expensive, most irreplaceable components. This wasn't random chaos. This was calculated destruction. The cost breakdown speaks for itself. Each drone, $600 to $1,000. Each bomber, multi-hundred million dollars. Total Ukrainian investment, a few $100,000 at most. Total Russian losses, $7 billion according to Ukrainian sources. The cost-to-damage ratio was astronomical. Across 5 time zones, 117 drones launched simultaneously. At Belaya in Siberia, the first wave comes in low, below radar. Security cameras catch them approaching 7 Tu-95 MS bombers, fully fueled and loaded with cruise missiles. The drones hit the wing fuel tanks. Massive fireballs. Secondary explosions from loaded missiles. Each bomber becomes a 200-foot inferno. At Olenia near Finland, 4 more Tu-95s burn. Russians post videos before the FSB shuts it down. At Ukranka in the Far East, the truck mysteriously explodes before launch. Russian counter-intel or bad luck? We'll never know. But at Ivanovo, the strikes are surgical. Drones land precisely on the A-50 radar domes, then detonate. Both planes instantly mission killed. In a matter of minutes, the operation was complete. The damage? Ukraine claims over 40 strategic bombers and surveillance aircraft destroyed or damaged. NATO estimates put the number at 10 to 13 completely destroyed, with roughly 20 hit overall. $7 billion in irreplaceable hardware according to Ukrainian sources, and even conservative estimates put losses in the billions. Russia produces maybe 1 bomber per year. They'd need over a decade to replace what they lost in one morning. And that's assuming they can even maintain production under sanctions. Putin immediately called President Trump for a 75-minute emergency conversation. Russian media screamed about nuclear retaliation. Military bloggers called it Russia's Pearl Harbor. Russia's nuclear doctrine technically allows nuclear response to attacks on nuclear delivery systems. Ukraine just destroyed a chunk of their bomber fleet. They could have pushed the button, but they didn't, because escalation means NATO involvement, and NATO involvement means Russia loses. So they ate the loss and moved on. The implicit rules held, even after the most devastating attack on Russian strategic forces since World War II. But here's what really happened behind the scenes. Within hours, Russian military brass were scrambling. Every airbase commander was ordered to implement new security protocols. Random vehicle inspections, drone detection systems, restrictions on commercial traffic near military installations. The problem? It's already too late. The vulnerabilities are exposed. The method is proven. And every adversary on the planet just watched Ukraine's masterclass in asymmetric warfare. The implications are massive. Every military base on Earth is now vulnerable. If Ukraine can smuggle drones through Russia and hit Siberian air bases, the same could happen anywhere. The Pentagon is scrambling, deploying counter-drone systems that cost $130,000 per interceptor to shoot down $600 drones. The math doesn't work. You can't defend against swarms economically. For every interceptor you have, an adversary can field 200 drones. American bases in Japan, Germany, the Middle East, they're all reassessing their security, because the lesson here isn't just about Russia, it's about every fixed military installation in the world becoming a potential target for cheap, autonomous weapons. For Ukraine, this proved they can strike anywhere. Distance means nothing. Russia's vast territory, the thing that saved them from Napoleon and Hitler, means nothing against drones and trucks. For Russia, this exposed catastrophic intelligence failures. Over 100 drones smuggled thousands of miles through their country. The FSB is conducting internal purges. Somebody talked. Multiple somebodies. And now every Russian official involved in logistics or security is looking over their shoulder. Every vehicle is now suspect. Every shipment could hide a swarm. The paranoia is extreme. But let's talk about what this really means for the future. The age of cheap, disposable drone swarms has arrived. We're not talking about some theoretical future threat. This already happened. The playbook is written. The proof of concept is complete. Russia's bomber fleet will never fully recover. Even if they could manufacture replacements at pre-war rates, we're talking about a decade of production. And Ukraine demonstrated they can hit these targets whenever they want. So what's the point of rebuilding if they'll just get hit again? Ukraine's operators are already planning the next strike. They've got trucks positioned, networks established, supply lines running. This wasn't a one-time operation. This was the opening move. And every military in the world is asking, if it happened to Russia, what's stopping it from happening to us? China's looking at American carrier groups wondering if the same principle applies. The US is looking at its overseas bases wondering how many trucks could be driving around right now. Israel's looking at Iran. Iran's looking at Saudi Arabia. Everyone's looking at everyone else with a new set of possibilities. The answer to who's vulnerable? Probably everyone. This is the future. It's autonomous, it's affordable, and it's already here. The question isn't whether this technology will spread, it's how fast and how far. What does this mean for American bases? Could someone pull this off against us? Are we prepared for drone swarm warfare? Drop your thoughts below and subscribe to Steel Command for more deep dives into how modern warfare is getting absolutely wild. I'm Steel Command. Stay vigilant. Stay informed. We'll see you in the next one.